So next topic we are starting is script execution. Script execution. Now, when you talk about script execution, it is just a simple thing that either you will be allowed to run this script or denied. Let's say I have a server available in my environment and I want to run some sort of script on top of it. So basically, with the help of script execution only, it is possible. Now, when you talk about how it can be executed, so there are two ways to execute a script. Number one is you are available locally, means you're sitting in front of the computer. Okay, that means in front of the system. That's what we call local. And then we have remotely. Remote meaning you know. Okay, they'll be in a different locations. Okay, let's say your server is available within the campus and you are executing some script from your home. Okay, that's basically called local, remotely. Clear to everyone till here? Now, when you talk about the execution, everything revolves around these two particular topics only. Either you'll be able to run locally or you'll be able to run remotely. Okay, no matter where exactly you are available, ultimately you have to run the script. So these two things will play an important role. Clear? Now, when you talk about execution policy, any idea what it is? Execution policy is nothing but a policy which will either allow you to run the script or it will deny. It won't allow you only. Okay, that's basically called execution policy. Generally, execution policy are of execution policy, I'll write EP, is of four types. Generally, basically there are seven, but four are very much used. Okay, number one is called unrestricted. Number two is called restricted. Number three is called remote signed, and number four is called all signed. These are the four major policies that will be applicable to your computer. Any one of them will be applicable to your computer. How will you check which policy is applied to your machine? To check the current execution policy, the command you need to run is get hyphen execution policy. That's the command. Get hyphen execution policy. So everyone, now run this command on your machine and see what exactly you are getting. Remember, this particular scenario you have to do inside virtual machine only. It is remote sign for everyone. Applied to you. Now try to understand the meaning of all these four, so that you will get to know what is the difference between unrestricted and remote sign. So when you talk about unrestricted, in unrestricted what happens is it will allow local and remote user to run any script. You can run any script either locally or remotely, doesn't matter. It will allow any script to run. Clear? This is the most unsecured policy, not to be used in production. Got it now? This is the most unsecure way to protect your system. It is just like a open system only. Okay, so anyone can execute any script, and if you run that script and something went wrong, so it is up to you now. So basically, you should not have unrestricted policy applied to your PowerShell. Okay, I have it because I know I'm the only owner of this particular machine, so I can simply bypass that. And it is not a production; it's a testing environment. Okay, but in production, it has to. You should make sure that you should not have unrestricted. Clear? Next is restricted. It will not allow local or remote user to run any script. It will not allow any. Restricted means restricted only. No matter what you do, either you are local user sitting in front of the machine or connected remotely, in both the cases, it won't allow you to run anything. You can call it as the most secured way, but the problem will be you'll not be able to run any script. Even if it is a legal script, even if it is a required script, then also you can't run it. Okay, but this kind of policy is good with your domain controllers. In production, you'll be having definitely domain controllers, right? You don't want anyone to go and just modify your domain DC machine. So in those kind of system, the systems which require very much protection, there you can apply restricted policy. Clear? Then we have remote signed, okay, and then we have all signed. Now remote sign and all signed basically works on one fundamental. It's called digital certificate. Okay, so basically remote sign means local user is not required to run script with digital certificate, but remote users must have a digital certificate. Binded with the script line. I'll explain. Local user is not required to run script without digital certificate. First of all, what is a digital certificate? Signed document. Perfect. Think in this way. You might have seen your grandfather, your forefathers, they'll basically sign a will that my property belongs to so and so person. Imagine if they forgot to sign in the document at the end. Is it a legal document? No way. Their sign is required, right? So that it can be authenticated that yes, this person has written this entire thing. Okay. Same thing happens with your PowerShell scripts also. I am a developer. I have written my entire script. Now I need to make sure that system understands that I am the authorized user who can run the script on this computer. Getting the point? For that, you have to explain. You have to tell that this particular script is built by me only. I am the owner of it. So to do that, we need a digital certificate. Clear? That is the requirement over here. So you have a digital certificate available, you have your script available. You have to bind it together and then run it on the machine, then only it will work out. Clear? So if you are local user, means you are sitting just right now in front of the system. That's a local user. Local users does not require the signed script. How will you create a digital certificate? That's the most important part. How will you create it? So there are different ways basically to create a digital certificate. There's a very old utility called makecert.exe. Then if you do not have this, now by the way, this is deprecated. This application is deprecated. Even if you try to download it from Microsoft website, you will not be able to do that. They might be having old utility available in their hard drives, so they are still using it. Another way is your IIS web server. Your IIS web server can generate self-signed certificate. Then what if even you do not have IIS web server? Then using Linux, it can be generated. Linux uses a utility called or an application called OpenSSL that will generate the certificate for you. Okay. You don't have these three options. Then it's not possible every time. In that case, PowerShell from version 5.0 introduced its own commandlet called new hyphen self-signed certificate. That's the command from version 5. From version 5.0, this application, sorry, this commandlet is by default available in your own system. 5.0 onwards means for 5.0, 5.1, it is already part of your operating system. You have to just use it and you are good to go. These are the different ways to create your digital certificate. Clear to everyone? We have to create it. So I'll give you the command and everything, whatever is required over here. So that is regarding the remote signed. Now finally, all signed. Any idea? Both local and remote users must have digital certificate. Must have digitally signed scripts. Then only it will work out. Okay. So this is the meaning of the four uh, execution policy types. One of them will be applied. The command is to check the current execution policy. You have a command called get hyphen execution policy. To change it, to change the execution policy, you have a command called set hyphen execution policy and then your policy name. And then your policy name. But remember that this has to be executed as administrator. Without that, it won't work out. Okay, so now basically we have got the idea of what needs to be done over here. But what is the procedure? That is what we have to understand. Okay, so to create a digitally signed script, there are different methods or sorry steps to follow, and without that procedure you will not be able to work with it. So what is the procedure over here? Number one, create a script. Create a script. That script could be a one-liner script, it could be a 100-liner script, it is up to you. I just need a script, and obviously make sure that you save that script. then only it will work out. Clear to everyone? Next, create a certificate. So we will be using this new self-signed certificate commandlet to basically deal with it. There's a predefined command which I am gonna show you. Predefined means all the values I have already set over there, and that's what we will be using because that works for me every time. You can use examples, but you might not get exactly what you're looking for. Meaning, see, remember we have worked on get help. In get help, you will get examples also. Did you notice? Those examples will not completely fit to our requirement. So I came up with a total customized command. Even if you get this question in your scenarios, you can use that command. I will allow that. So here we will be creating the certificate with the command called new self-signed certificate. Once it is created, once it is created, it will be of no use until and unless you export it. You have to export the certificate. Okay. So there are two ways to export it. Either you can use a commandlet or you can use a GUI. Both things are there. And then once you export that particular certificate, now you need to import it on your same computer. Import or install the certificate. Again, for that also we have commandlet and we have GUI. And once this is completed, then you have to bind the certificate with the script using a command called self hyphen authenticode, sorry, set hyphen authenticode signature. That's the command. Okay, that is the procedure to basically create your digitally signed certificate. Okay, you have to follow this procedure one by one exactly in the same order, and then it will work out flawlessly. Okay, so now let us start with this procedure one by one. Very first thing is create a script. Okay, so to do this I am just gonna press Control N, and here I'll write, let's say, get hyphen date. Simple. Okay, I'm creating a very simple script over here which prints date. That's it. Control S and give the name my script. Okay, so the path is gonna be this. Okay, I will be using this path later on, that's why I've just noted over here. Clear? So my script is ready. That's number one. Now number two is create a certificate. Now I have to create a certificate over here. So for creating the certificate, I already told you we are gonna use the command here called new self-signed certificate. Before I actually start creating, get help, then I'll make it online. When I go for this particular commandlet, it will take me to the official Microsoft page. I can click on examples and there we go. You can see new self-signed certificate and other stuff is available over here. There are only two examples available. It is not sufficient for my entire working. That's why I'm going with the customized command. Okay. So to create certificate, I'm gonna use this command. Okay. First, look at the command over here properly. New self-sign certificate, and then it says dash cert store location. Cert store location is basically your place or a location where all the certificates are stored. And by default, for all the new locations or new certificates, this is the place. This location should not change. Okay. Then subject. CN means canonical name, and you can give any command, any certificate name over here. Any name. As you can see, I've given here dummy cert. I'll change it to, let's say, demo cert 01. Something I've given. Okay. Now, remember one thing. When you run this entire line, this is one single line only, by the way, right? It is separated by backticks. Actually, it is one single command, a bigger one. I've broken it into multiple lines, and this is how basically it looks like. So you can run this entire command at once, and one certificate named as demo cert 01 will be created. If you re-execute the same command one more time, it will again create one more certificate for you with the same name. No, it will create one. Only difference will be thumbprints will be different. Every certificate you generate, it creates something called as thumbprint. To understand this in a simple way, we humans, we have different thumbprints, right? Is it mandatory that there is only one G2 available? But my thumbprint will be unique. Even though we have two G2s in the same class, my thumbprints will be different, definitely different from another guy, right? That's the same thing. Here we have thumbprints for the certificate. So make sure that you run the entire command only once. You change the CN name and then execute it one more time. Not a problem. Clear to everyone? It will just create it. Next is key algorithm. Which algorithm you are using to create the certificate? There are different algorithms available. One of them is RSA. Then another one is AES, DES, triple DES, triple AES. So many algorithms are there which will create your secured certificate. RSA is very commonly used. Key length. What should be the length of the entire key that you're gonna generate? It's gonna generate an encrypted key. What should be the length of that particular? Now remember one thing. Bigger length means more secured, but slower in nature. It will take time to send data from point A to point B. It will be time consuming. It will be slow. Okay. Just imagine in the same way. If me and Praveen we started running, who will win the race basically? Obviously, because I will be taking time. The same concept is applied over here. Bigger length means more secured, but slower in nature. Smaller length, less secured, but faster in nature. Okay. So here you can go with 512, you can go with 1024, 2048, and so on. Okay. 1024 will be idle. It is idle to go with 1024 length. Provider. Now here provider you have to give as Microsoft Enhanced RSA and AES cryptographic provider. This particular line has to be written exactly in the same way, because that is the name of the provider who is giving you authority to create the certificate. So that authority should be like that only. No changes. Key export policy, it is exportable. Remember, that was our next step to export the certificate. So it should be exportable. What is the usage of this particular digital signature? I'm gonna use the certificate for my digital signature. And type, it is gonna be code signing cert. Okay, code signing and digital signing is basically the same thing only, but it gives better clarity that what is gonna be the purpose of this certificate. So you create this entire, and now the certificate will be valid for 1 year. It can be extended also. That's a secondary topic. But by default, it is gonna be valid for 1 year. Now, this is clear to everyone till here? Okay. Now, where subject is just the name of the certificate, just the name that will be visible to you on the top. Where now I'm gonna show you. So to check what all certificates you have available in your system, you can go with get hyphen child item cert colon backslash current user backslash my. That's the same path I've written, right? Type this, hit enter, and see. You can see here, I have got a certificate called Joker. I have got a certificate called Jitendra. I have got Test Cert, Batman, LTI. Joker is here, and another Joker is here. Can you see that? Clearly proving my point. But check the thumbprint. It starts with E19A, and this one starts with A3CL. Okay. Then you have LTI B4, localhost, and some other certificates also available. That's a command line way to check your certificates. Graphical way to check your certificates. Windows R. Type MMC. Or I'll go for the shortcut command. Okay. Cert mgr.msc. Cert mgr.msc. That's the command. You can see. Cert mgr.msc. Certificate manager.microsoft console. Like that, you can remember it. Okay. Click on OK, and it pops up this particular UI. Inside this, you have something called as personal, and inside personal, you have something called as certificates. Visible? So here it is showing me current user, and here I have the first folder called personal. Inside that, I have folder called certificates. Click on that, and you find the same certificates which we have seen using command line. Okay, you can see here I have two certificates with the name Joker available. I don't need these many, so I will remove them. You don't have to do that. It's my base machine, so I don't require all these things. I can just delete them, and it is done. Okay, this is the way how you work with the graphical utility. Okay, so now if I re-execute the same command, see, only those specific certificates which I left are available. Got it? Now I'll run this entire line, and there we go. You can see this is the thumbprint, starts with DDE1F. Now it is not mandatory that certificate thumbprint will be same for you guys also. It will be different. Okay, it will be different. And somehow on same system, two certificates will never share one single thumbprint. Got it now? So now if I go back to cert manager, now you can see there's a certificate called demo cert available. Visible to everyone? And check one thing, what it says. Issued to, that's the name. Issued by, that's the same name only. Because I am the only person. It's a self-signed certificate. Okay. Expiration date, 1 year. Correct? Intended purpose, friendly name. I have not given any friendly name, but other things are also empty. Okay. So this is the code that you have to use in order to create your certificate. The command line way to check your own certificate, you can simply use the command called get hyphen child item cert colon backslash current user backslash my, and when you run this much you get your certificate over here. Clear? These are the two ways. Now once the certificate is created, now next command, export the certificate. Okay, so when you talk about, this is for listing the cert. Now next is to export the cert. So the very first thing is you need to know the commands for it. Okay, so commandlets for the certificate, there are basically two major commands to get that: get hyphen command and star pfx star. This pfx is basically the extension of your certificate. When you store it, its extension is gonna be .pfx. So there are two commands for it: export hyphen pfx certificate and import hyphen pfx certificate. You can see here export and import. These are the commands for it. So you can use the export command to export the data. pfx is the extension of certificate. Okay, you can use this particular, but I am gonna go with GUI. You can use get help command and go to online, you'll find all the references over there. Okay, but I'm gonna go with GUI over here. To go with GUI, again I'll go back to cert mgr. Okay, there's no way to increase the font size for it. Come on guys. So here I am inside this particular certificate. Okay, personal and then certificates. Now here you can see there, this is my certificate available over here, demo cert 01, right? What I need to do, I need to export it. Pay attention. Right click. Can you see export option over here? Go to all tasks. Can you see it now? Export. Click on that and you get this particular welcome to certificate export wizard. Okay. So here, welcome to certificate export wizard. Click on next. It is asking export private key. Yes. You need to export the private key as well. Next. Export file format. Can you see here pfx.pfx? No changes required over here. Select whatever is there as it is. Security. Now it is looking for a password. Okay. This password will be required when you try installing the certificate. So even somehow you get my certificate and if you don't know the password, you can't deal with it. That's a additional security to your certificate. So I'll click here on password and I'll give any password over here. Now if I don't tell you, you'll not be able to deal with it. Okay. Simply next. Now file to export. Where exactly you want to export it now? Export in the sense where you want to save it, store it. So I'll go to browse. Go to batch 37, today's day 4. And here I'll give the name. Any name can be given over here. Okay. Demo cert 01. Okay, I've simply given the name demo cert 01. And here you can see save as type is .pfx. I'm not changing that at all. Just click on save and here is my path. You can see certificate path. You don't have to write the entire path manually. Click on browse and just write the certificate name at the end. That's it. Clear? Next, completing the wizard and finish. And here it says export was successful. Okay. And we are done. Exporting was complete. Now, next step is to import the certificate or install it. Okay, to import or install the certificate. So for this also we have another command here available called import pfx certificate. That's a command, and again you can use the online help to basically deal with it. What I am gonna do, again I'll be going with the GUI over here. Now see how to install it. So you have to go to a location where your certificate is available. Okay, batch 37, day 4. Can you see this demo cert over here? You can see here, that's my certificate. Now to install the certificate, either you can double click on it or right click and you have this install PFX. Any option will open the same UI only. You can see here. It is going to open the same UI only for you. Okay. Now, here it says store location. Where you want to store this particular certificate. So, always go with the current user. No need to go for local machine. Local machine means you are basically dealing with the machine itself. Don't do that. In production, your most of the viable solution is gonna be current user. Next. Now, here it will give you the path automatically. That's the path of my certificate also. Okay. Next. Now the password. The same password that you have given at the time of exporting. If I try bypassing this, the password you have entered is incorrect. You have to give the password, then only it works out. I gave a very complicated password 007. Okay, you could have given anything. I have given a simple password. Just click on next. Now guys, look here. This is the most important part. Here it says automatically select the certificate. Don't go with this option. Go with the second option that says place all certificates in the following store. Meaning you have to store your certificate in a specific place. Then only it will properly work out. So I'll go to browse and here is my list. Personal, trusted root certification authority, enterprise, intermediate, trusted publisher, and so on. So you can see here there are so many folders. Okay. So I am gonna install it inside trusted root certification authority. Meaning that certificate will be by default trusted now once I install it on my computer. I have created the certificate, but my machine does not accept it right now. So I need to make sure it should be accepted. For that, I have to go with enterprise root CA authorities. Got it now? Okay, and you can see automatically the name popped up over here. Next, finish, and you'll get some warning over here. Okay, just click on, you can see here, do you want to install the certificate? Yes. And it says import was successful. That's it. Now you have basically added the certificate into the required place. Right. Now coming for the last step, working on the last step over here, that is binding the certificate with the script. Okay. Now for this particular scenario, this particular step, you need two variables. Okay. Variable number one, $file. For which file you want to, or on which file you want to apply that binding. So I have already copied this on top. You can see that was the reason I copied it. I can just put it over here like this. Right now you can see my script, it is only one command over here. But once binding is done, I have to close this and open it one more time. Then you will find a very huge data will be inserted over here. That's first variable. Second variable, $cert. $cert. This basically contains my certificate. Okay. Get hyphen child item cert colon backslash current user my. But it's not over yet. Since I have so many other certificates available, I need to segregate my own certificate. Can you see this is the certificate? It starts with DDE1. So backslash, can you see? It is showing all the thumbprints, not the name. So my thumbprint is the last one. This one. That's it. So this entire value is now stored inside the $cert variable. Okay. I'm using one over here, one variable that is $file that contains the path of my file that needs to be binded. And then the certificate is basically stored in the $cert variable. Now the command to bind these two together is set hyphen authenticode signature. That command will basically bind script and certificate together. Dash, you can see certificate, right? This is a parameter. Certificate. $cert is what you have to pass over here. Dash file path. That's gonna be my $file variable. I could have written everything in the same line only, but the command is gonna be very lengthy. So to cut short, I am using variables over here. Clear to everyone till here? Now when I run these three lines, it will display an output in three columns. Okay, specifically this last line, this will produce the output in three columns. In the center column, the name of the column is status. That status I want to be valid. If it is valid, means whatever I have done, it paid off, successfully done. If it is invalid, if it is unknown, that means something is wrong with my data. Let's run these lines one by one. Certificate. Okay. Now when I run this last line over here, I'm looking for the output with three columns in it. Can you see? Status is valid. Meaning whatever I did, it worked properly. Now again, see, I don't have to validate one more time. It is showing here valid. That means whatever I did is completely correct. But still, just to show you guys, here's my script. You can see there's only one line of code, right? I'm not doing anything. Just close it and open the same file. This is what you call a digital signature. Now the final part where we need to validate whether the script is actually getting executed or not. So I'll check here get hyphen execution policy. My policy is unrestricted. Okay. So if I run the code over here, if I need to run my script over here, it will work out. So I'll simply write my file name like this and hit enter and it prints date and time. No problem with that. Correct? Now I'll change it. So for that I'll open PowerShell as administrator. And here I will change the policy to get hyphen execution policy. It is unrestricted. I'll change it to, let's say, all sign. First I'll change it to all sign. Meaning of all sign is local or remote, both requires. It is asking blah blah blah. Simply I'll go for yes, yes to all. Press capital A, enter, and it is changed. You can see here it is now all signed. Okay. If I try any another script, for example, this get clock, you can see it is not signed. So if I go for this command, get clock.ps1, see what it says. Get clock so and so cannot be loaded. The file so and so is not digitally signed. So my PowerShell, even though I am the creator of this particular script, then also my PowerShell is not agreeing for it. Now let's go with another script, my script only, and rerun the same thing. Earlier it worked out. This time what it is showing, so and so is not trusted, run script. So I'll say run once. I have only created, but then also it is having doubt. So I'll just go with run once, and here it runs the code. Got it till here? Now let's say I'll go to this last line, and this B is written, right? I'll just change it to some other alphabet. Let's make it C and save. Clear? Only one single character is changed. Now rerun the same script. Anything. That's what I'm telling. You can see here it's what it says now is not digitally signed. I'll revert it back to B. Let's change the command. Instead of get date, let's make it get process. It's a valid command only, no? But now also, when I run the entire script, what it says, so the binded data is actually binded with your command, not the number of characters written over there. Got it now? It has to be get date only in order to work with it. See here. Clear to everyone? That is what basically digital signature is all about. I'll revert it back. I don't want to mess up again and again. I'll make it remote sign. Let's check one more time if it is working. See, it did not ask any questions.